Hi guys, people's reaction to the newly released Sony A6400. Let's go. We've got Mr. Kaibanog. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Is this actually a bad camera? No, not at all. But it does remind you that Sony have gone from being the company which used to completely blow away their rivals with every new release to being, well, still very good, but just being one of the leaders in a now very competitive landscape. Mr. Carbonog, very true. Think Sony has been reigning in this mirrorless game for like 7-8 years, and they were just slaying it because they knew that they had no competition, or the competition was quite weak. I think at the time we literally just had the GH series from Panasonic against the Sony, but that's Micro Four Third against the full frame. So although the competition was there, it wasn't as serious as what we have now. So it's going to be unwise for Sony to just keep releasing at the same rate as they were before. They need to literally study their competition, look at what they're doing well, and see how they can gain an edge over them. So yes, they can't release cameras as quick as they used to, unfortunately and fortunately, because it means that you actually get a proper good use out of your system before a new upgrade. Trevor Pinnicky, we're witnessing Sony slowly transforming into Canon. Slow release schedules of highly anticipated cameras, little to no firmware updates for major bodies like the A7 II series for well over 18 plus months. Forced body upgrades for minor functionality improvements. So that's the A6400. And now the release of a camera no one was waiting for or asked for with the A7S III. The body we're all desperate for, nowhere in sight. The A7000, the A7S III are the cameras to deliver not the entry-level consumer bodies with the same weak batteries. So Mr. Trevor is a bit upset. Nobody was expecting the A6400. We were thinking the A7000 was going to be released, or the A7S III, but we have the A6400. Mr. John Richardson, for the price, a nice camera. The top flip-up screen is much better for photographers than the side flippy. No weird parallax going on. For video, use a lavalier mic or take your small Rode mic and attach it to the side of the flippy screen with a small binder clip and rubber band. 10-second fix. No IBIS, use a steady shot lens and a gimbal. For prosumers, the A7000 with IBIS will be announced in February along with a 12 to 20 millimeter 2.8, but will probably cost twice as much as the A6400. Price, definitely. A6400's price is quite competitive in the way that it comes in at $900. I think that's what's proposed for at the moment. The suggestion you gave, John, was amazing. On Justin's video, she came up with different rigging options for this camera, which I will put a snapshot on right about now. And they work quite well. They don't look silly. Some of them actually give you a better grip of the camera. So it's not the end of the world. You can see yourself. Get a small plate to put your camera on, a cold shoe to put your microphone on. Then you're good. Prodigy Music Man, 29 record limit gone, overheats at 31 minutes. Ha ha. Yeah, yeah, interesting. Now we have unlimited recording, but Mr. Prodigy is saying that this camera is probably going to overheat after 3 minutes. I don't think so. From Marx's video, I think he did a long test in comparison with the A6500, and he mentioned that the camera never got warm whatsoever or never overheated. But we will see when the camera is actually released, and people in different parts of the world, some places that are hotter, they will be able to test this camera a lot more. I'm based in the UK. The chances of this camera probably getting hot from the good battery management is going to be minimal. Yes, the A6300 was quite hot, but never overheated. Okay, but we shall see. A vlogging camera designed by people who have never filmed themselves. No IBIS, bad battery, and no way to mount a shotgun mic and see the screen. I like some of the features, but just seems like an incomplete camera. Let's hope the A7000 or whatever is a complete package. Mr. Don't Know, let's go. Yes, no IBIS. The battery is bad, but the battery management is quite good. Max again did a comparison with A6500, and I think it did a test of up to 1 hour 40 minutes, and the battery still held up compared to the A6500. I'll put a link in the description to go to his channel or that particular video so you can see exactly what I mean.
So have we finally gotten to the point where Sony cameras, the battery life is much better, even with a small battery, and we're not seeing any overheating? It definitely, there we go, battery exhausted. So I think that was 1 hour and 38 minutes.
Max Tech. I'm not really worried about no IBIS since most lenses nowadays have stabilization. I'm more worried about no hot shoe placement because of the flip out screen and also horrible rolling shutter. God damn it! It's like they purposely didn't make the screen fully articulating and kept the bad rolling shutter on purpose, so people would buy their more expensive camera. Some interesting conspiracies there, Mr. Max Tech. You probably need to speak to Casey from Camera Conspiracies.
All I want is the perfect camera.
You guys are on the same wavelength. Deus ex astra. I can't say that. I don't know if it's like 3 separate words or you're meant to like combine them together. So much negativity for this camera. I think it's actually pretty great, especially for the price. The more I think about the lack of IBIS, the less of a problem I think it is. Truthfully, IBIS on this camera bodies is hardly ever that great to begin with. If I really wanted a nice steady video, I would get a small handheld gimbal, which would probably be way better than IBIS. Attach the mic on the side, and this camera beats most out there with amazing autofocus and unlimited shooting time. It's French. Deus ex astra, that part is in French. You absolutely spot on. This is my narrative, literally since I saw the release of this camera. The features are great, unexpected, new. You want a smooth video, get a gimbal. When the A7 III came out, people were complaining about the IBIS. They were constantly comparing it to the GH5 from Panasonic. And Panasonic was always winning. They were slamming the Sony. So once again, if the IBIS was included, guess what we're going to hear again? Oh, it's got a flip-up screen, but the IBIS is bad. Anyways, Mr. Deus ex astra, you're on the right path. You can see what I'm seeing. David Lopez, legit tempted of getting an EOS R and trading my Sony A7R III and A7 III because I've shot with Canon for years and it's reliable. Also, autofocus. Why did you go to Sony A7R III and A7 III? Those are really 2 really amazing cameras. EOS R, it's a subjective one, really. I've always been shooting with Canon for so many years, and I moved to Sony, and yeah, I'm still with Sony, but I'm not really committed to any camera company. At the moment, Sony just satisfies my needs in terms of video and photo capture. Mr. Chabax or Chabas, could be French as well, Jabba. A pure joke of a camera. I hope Sony sales people feel ashamed at this moment. The worst flippy screen imaginable, unstable IBIS lacking mess, no 4K 60, no HEVC, file deleting, lack of dual SD card, 25 minutes no Z battery. The only thing they did right is good autofocus and the end of the 30 minutes limit finally. But what's the point in removing 30 minutes limit if the battery won't barely last past the 30 minutes mark? Mr. Shabax is very angry. World, please send him your notes. Tell him that it's all right. He can still get the A6500 or the A73 if he wants the battery that can last forever at 30 minutes limit. Sony, you're just funny. HEVC. So I'm guessing that's the newer codec. I'm guessing. Correct me if I'm wrong. So MP5, MP4, 5. Not sure. But 4K 60. Again, it's an entry camera according to Sony. The worst flippy screen imaginable. It's not the best, but it's better than that weird angled thing that we've been having all this time. The 30 minutes recording limits, yes. The battery not lasting more than 30 minutes, wrong. Max's video, again, like I said, he literally had the recording on, and I think he reached the mark of 1 hour and 40 minutes, something like that. He even sacrificed his early night just to make sure that we could see that. Thank you, Max. How do you pronounce this name? Something, 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 TK Story. If you know what that means, please help me out. I don't want to get this part wrong. Funny as bleep, as usual. But I heard the reason Sony can never do a side flippy screen is because Canon has a patent for it. Probably Panasonic bought that patent years ago. Now Canon won't sell it to Sony. You might be right, you might be wrong. I think probably Canon had a patent for APS-C and full frame, and Panasonic doesn't need to buy because they were making micro four thirds cameras. Who knows? And because Sony was coming in the APS-C and full frame, they probably have to buy the patent. And Canon is like, sorry guys, not happening. We wanna milk this business. We ain't selling nothing to you. I don't know. If you do know the real reason, in the comment section. Kenny Tayadi or Jayadi. This camera fell big time. It should have been A6700 or A7000. You need a should have been in there. Should have been. Yes, nobody was expecting the A6400, but it's here. Let's make the best use of it, or don't buy it at all. Nobody's gonna gun to your head to say, go to the Sony store, go and buy a Sony camera. But an A6700 or an A7000 would have been good. Sony could have tricked everyone and just make this camera A7000 with this feature and that flip up screen. Bill Johnson, the real news in this announcement isn't so much the A6400 as the updates Sony is making to autofocus and pushing these updates back to the A9 and A7 III, A7 III. Real-time autofocus and real-time autofocus doesn't sound exciting right away because the autofocus is already pretty good, but I bet it's going to make the autofocus extremely competitive. Yes, Canon has been really well praised for the dual pixel autofocus, and Sony is just like, we want to be in this bracket as well. So the autofocus in A7 III, A9, pretty amazing with the native lenses and the Tamron 2875. I love Jason Fong's videos. You know, he just runs to the lens, goes down, goes up, and that autofocus is working amazingly. So yeah, the fact that they've actually improved this autofocus is amazing. It can detect animals' eyes and you can select which side of the eyes that you want to focus on. It's just mind-blowing. And they're going to be pushing these updates to the A7 III, A7R3, the new A7S3, and the A9 series. So, Sony, well done. Continue. Benoit Leveque. I failed French, as you can see. Benoit. I know it sounds French. Benoit. Benu. I'm sorry, man. You can easily attach a little bracket to put a microphone on the side. You don't need to mount it directly on top of the camera. I mean, the flip-up screen is workable in my opinion. Also, the screen no longer dims at 4K at 100 Mbps. No IBIS is a bummer, but remember, it's a $900 camera. Other than the G85, there's no other camera with interchangeable lenses with IBIS at this price point, but the G85 has its own flaws too. At this point, it's pretty obvious that they will launch the A6600 sometime soon. A6500 refresh. This one is gonna have IBIS. Mr. Benoit or Benu. Yes, it's workable as we've discussed earlier. IBIS, subjective. Was it really effective in the last releases? Yes, no. If you were a photographer, you were having a dream time because you can take pictures at a silly shutter speed and still be holding your camera, which will not be possible in the likes of the 5D Mark IIs, the 5D Mark IIIs, even the 5D Mark IV from Canon. So for photographers, no complaints. For video, unless you're literally holding the camera like this, you're quite limited with the IBIS. I am not even a vlogger, but still constantly checking the calendar to triple check that it's not April 1st today. April Fools! What just happened? A6400. What's next year? Sony A6350? I hope not, because that would be like going backwards. They would just be called Black Magic at this rate with this silly naming convention. Pistons and petrol. I was hoping this was going to replace my A6000. It's not. I would like to prove you wrong. Yes, it can replace your A6000. In my first video, in the second video, I highlighted how this can be a replacement to the A6000. You've got the 4K to start with at 4K 30. Full HD at 120 frames per second, touch screen, amazing autofocus, good battery management. What else do we have? Flippy screen, although not in the direction everyone wants it in, but this can easily replace the A6000. Should you upgrade? That's up to you. Can't make that decision for you. But in my opinion, if I had the A6000, even the A6300 was a worthy upgrade. Talk less of the A6400. Mad English TV. Sony has failed vloggers again. Just give us IBIS, a side flip screen, and a 15mm 1.3 lens. Yes, Sony. Mad English TV is not happy with you guys. Yeah. Oscar's Places. Nice video, Justin. So that's Justin's channel. Amazing channel, by the way. I'm still not sure if this camera is for me. It's not for everyone. Sony said it's for vloggers, and it's not for every type of vloggers either. So you're not forced to buy this camera, but you're honest. Lack Peck or Latch Peck or Lack Peak. The internal mic sounded way better. Did you tamper with the external mic or have the audio peaking? It sounded so tiny or teeny. Yes, I was so shocked myself. I think the first test was from Justin and Max, and the internal mic sounded amazing. And I think this is Sony's way of saying, sorry, we screwed you guys up with the hot shoe being in the way of the flip-up screen, but we will tweak the internal mic to sound really great. Still, I think it's safer to have an external mic because the pickup is going to be much better. But from the stuff I've heard, the internal mic sounds pretty good, which is surprising. Imagine you in a quiet environment, it would sound even better. So yeah, Prime in China seems like a worthless upgrade. If you don't know how to frame yourself without a selfie screen, you should stay away from cameras. You have much bigger problems. Oh, sorry. Please send a letter to Mr. Prime in China that we need to give up our careers now. Guys, if you don't know how to frame yourself without a flippy screen, why are you even here? You are wasting your time. Vanta Blacked. Wow, was literally about to buy this, but not having IBIS is a deal breaker. Also, how is the overheating issue? Overheating on my A6300 is awful. Vantablack, you've got A6300. A6400, it's a worthy upgrade, really. But again, A6300 is already a cracking camera. The overheating, from what I've watched and seen, seems to be controlled. And the battery is a lot better. The battery life is a lot better than the A6300. IBIS, let's not even get into that again. The Fashion Archive. I'm so excited. Sony finally have flip screens. It's about damn time. I have an A6500 too. Why is this called A6400? Makes me feel like it's worse. Was expecting the next one to be the A6700. Sorry, Fashion Archive. We don't know why the naming convention was that either. But you've got the A6500. Good on you. Oh my goodness. I don't know where to start with this name. Somebody help me translate. I don't even know what language this could be. I will try to decipher this. The person's saying thumbs up to the video. I think it's a video from iJustin. And they're saying they love the camera. Or they love iJustin. Don't know. And now the camera's a star, or she's a star. Now they're laughing at the camera. Hopefully not at her, because she's amazing. And they would like to fly out of this world. If you can translate this, please let me know. Don't make things up, please. But if you do, hey, why not? Life's too short. You've need too many consonants where I don't expect them. Okay, glad that Sony finally gave us what we want. Unusable semi-half 180 flip something. You even can't see mic levels because of external mic. Lol, just made my day. Mr. Yev, whatever. No disrespect. It's still usable. Put the camera on the side, use a lav mic, you'll still be able to see your peaking levels from the monitor, so you can check your audio recording. Stefan or Stefan. No IBIS, no headphone jack, only one card slot. No thanks. Stefan, no IBIS, no headphone jack, only one card slot. No thanks. No IBIS, we've talked about that. No headphone jack. Well, you've got the peaking levels. The last flip-up screen didn't have a mic input, so now this one has a mic input, but no headphone out. Yeah, Sony's business strategy. One card slot, it's an entry-level camera. Don't expect it, really. Venom 5809. People really don't get what this camera is about. First of all, it's $300 cheaper than the A6500, so of course it doesn't have IBIS. This is for the beginner vlogger who can't afford the, I'm guessing, upcoming A7000. You can get the A6400, which is an upgraded A6300 with a flip-up screen and some other stuff, and then move up later to the A7000, which may have the flip-out screen. Doubt it. IBIS dual card slots, 4K 60p for the like of, let's say, $1,500. It's actually a pretty good strategy, and then they can discontinue the A5100 and the A6000 at the same time and kick the A6300 down to being the intro camera. You're on the right track there, mister. SJPC. It's not an upgrade from the A6500, just a budget version, even though you can just buy a used A6500 for the same price. It's essentially just an A6300 with a flip screen, no IBIS. It's terrible. It is what it is. But I wouldn't personally upgrade from A6500. If I had the A6500, I will keep that and just let the A6400 be. If I had the A6300, I'll probably upgrade to the A6400. My last two videos on this topic talked about the path of upgrade. If you've got the A6000, A6300, the original A7 series, the full frame, and the A7 II, and A7S, the original, A6400 makes sense for an upgrade. If you've got anything higher than that, there isn't a point. There's going to be an upgrade being pushed to a firmware update to A9, A7 III, and A7R3. So hold on to your camera and wait for the firmware updates. Will I be getting this camera? 100% yes. I shoot wedding videography. One of the things that really annoy me is when I've got a multiple camera setup, having to remember what minutes which camera is on. It's really, really frustrating. So with the unlimited recording on this, I can just have this camera stationary, aperture set, lighting set, and I just record without having to think about when it's going to stop, as long as I've got a large SD card inside and a dummy battery, so I can have an unlimited power supply. So that's it for people's reaction to the A6400. I've really enjoyed reading what everyone had to say. Some ridiculous, some amazing, some logical, and some just pure frustration. Thank you guys. It's Samuel from 10 Things I Like About. Peace.